I officially welcome you to MacArthur Center. Join the celebration. Let's go shopping!
There was just blood on the elevator.
Violence on top of violence, man.
Nordstrom will be closing its doors here.
The mall's lost more than 10 stores in the
While
past.
traditional brick-and-mortar retail is crumbling everywhere.
If you've ever been to MacArthur Center Mall in Norfolk, a walk past the Apple store would reveal lines of customers. But soon, there will be no more Apple. The store is closing, removing fruit for a struggling mall.
MacArthur Center had weathered the retail apocalypse well until about 2019. And then once it started shedding large retailers, it just became a vicious cycle.
Thanks, bud.
Hello and welcome to another Dying Mall, Mall number 8 in this series. Today I bring you to MacArthur Center Mall in Norfolk, Virginia. This is a mall that was supposed to be the crown jewel for the city of downtown Norfolk revitalization. But like other malls, not only is it dealing with the changing retail landscape, it's suffering from violence that has led to murder, which is hastening the decline of this facility. March 12, 1999, MacArthur Center Mall opened to opening crowds of over 72,000 people. The only 3-story retail mall in the Hampton Roads metropolitan area. At this time, I was working for Sprint PCS. I had just been sent to Atlanta for training, and I returned about 2 to 3 days after that grand opening. And it struck me how I felt like I was back in a shopping mall in Atlanta. That's how unique and different this mall was for the area. Discussions and plans started for MacArthur Mall in 1994. At that time, Macy's had signed a letter of interest in opening as an anchor to the mall. That never happened. The mall opened with the area's first Nordstrom's department store, and 70 of the new stores were retailers that were new to the Hampton Roads market. In total, the mall opened with 140 stores. The draw in the beginning was having retailers that were nowhere else in the region. On opening day, regional first tenants included Rainforest Cafe, Restoration Hardware, Abercrombie & Fitch, United Colors of Benton, the Discovery Channel stores, and a Jeepers indoor amusement park. The mall is home to the East Coast flagship store for Dillard's, and the mall is next to the General Douglas MacArthur Memorial. At over 1,100,000 square feet, there are 400,000 square feet of mall tenant shops and 100,000 square feet of food and entertainment spaces. The third floor of the mall houses a Regal MacArthur 18 movie theater. The mall developer was the Taubman company, they went with a 3-story concept to use less land than Lynnhaven Mall in Virginia Beach. With parking being a premium commodity downtown, they went with a 4 multi-level parking garage solution attached to the mall. And they also went with a typical suburban mall feel. The goal was to have a mall that would generate $40 million of revenue for the city over a 10-year period, as well as help with the downtown Granby Street revitalization efforts, and to encourage people to want to come and move, live, and play in the downtown district. In the beginning, the discussions were surrounding having a traditional enclosed mall or had something that would be more open to the outside environment. David Rice, executive director for the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority, who owned the land, stated there are some successes around the country where they are not enclosing them, but the state of the art, as far as developers are concerned, is a mall enclosed as the most advisable alternative. Which begs the question, if a developer is looking to get as much money out of a project, do you think they are really going to give you what should be the best option for a location? Doing some reading in some publications, you had some local and national architects who were saying that the mall was too suburban. Without a more urban design, the city will create an isolated island that will draw life out of the parts of downtown. Robert Gratz, who's the author of The Living City, stated, "The people don't leave the enclosed world of the mall, and economically it doesn't spill over into the rest of the city. There is not one project of this sort, and they are all over the place, that ever helped rebuild a downtown into a place that is more than just adjunct streets around a shopping mall. It will never connect to the city itself, and he defied anyone to show him one that has worked. It will be a suburban mall downtown, and that means that downtown will never be its own place, period." Among such critics was Ron Kloster, who was an assistant professor of architecture at nearby Hampton University. He said the city should recreate the 8 square blocks of streets and businesses that existed before urban renewal wiped them away. "We could recreate a Charleston," Kloster said. "We could recreate a commercial and retail village. We could get the same shops in there, but in a mixture of public and private space. When you lose the public streets, you lose the intimacy that makes a downtown special," he said. Things were in the beginning looking up for the mall and seemed to be going well until the late 2010s. Multiple chain anchors were retreating from brick and mortar stores after fighting the challenges from digital retailers. Then the violence started coming in with multiple mall shootings. Macy's never became an anchor, and the space that would have been used for their store has been used during the winter months as an ice skating rink. Then in 2019, Nordstrom's announced that they would be closing their location in the mall. The city of Norfolk went in with their money to entice Nordstrom's to come. In the beginning, the city tried to put pressure on the chain to hire as many staff members from the surrounding low-income housing communities to help with employment. While they did try to follow this approach, the chain basically told the city to take a hike, that they were not finding the kind of staff to meet their employment standards, and it appeared this was abandoned not long after. Around the same time that Nordstrom's said they were leaving, additional closings were announced. In 2018 and 2019, you had J. Crew, Fossil, Yankee Candle, Banana Republic, Williams Sonoma, Pottery Barn, Eddie Bauer, Charlotte Russe, Forever 21, Brighton Collectibles, Chico's, Zales, as well as others who were no longer seeing a future in the mall. GameWorks had announced that they were closing their location at Greenboro Mall and was going to open in MacArthur, but shortly after we had COVID with the shutdowns, and their opening date of spring 2020 never materialized. Shortly after, any mention of them was removed from the mall's website. After COVID, you had several businesses that were struggling to survive the pandemic and announced they were closing. The mall lost Express, Victoria's Secret, Talbot's, Abercrombie and Fitch, Papyrus, Francesca's, The Walking Company, Justice, J. Hill, New York and Company, among others. Also, during that time up to present, there was more and more instances of gang fights, which led to gunfire in the mall. People were starting to feel unsafe. However, in April of 2022, after the mall started to come back to life after COVID, there was a triple shooting that turned into murder inside the mall in the Lids hat store. That was pretty much the nail in the coffin for the mall. The City of Norfolk Police Department calls for service logs for the mall from 2019 to April 2022 showed the following. They had 20 assault calls, 43 larceny calls. They had 3 auto thefts, 3 calls for vandalism, and 1 for robbery. And during this same time, the police had investigated 4 separate shootings with 9 people shot. 7 were shot inside the mall. The police even started having off-duty police officers work at the mall daily. Yet with that and other measures, there seemed to be no deterrent to the rise in crime. Apple closed their retail store due to concerns for safety for their staff and customers. Thankfully, we have the store at Lynn Haven Mall. After the April triple shooting, Texas de Brazil closed their location, citing safety concerns. And that was really sad because that's the only one in the area and I really love their food. I tried searching online for a history of all the shootings that have taken place inside the mall. The city of Norfolk has started an online crime search tool, but their data appears to have started as of November 2022. But on Google, I was able to pull up two cases. Back in October of 2019, there was a double shooting. Police said two subjects who were arrested were walking in the lower mall level when they came across another man. And then one of these individuals fired a gun, hitting one of the other men. Sadly, there was a 56-year-old woman who was just nearby and not part of this group that also was wounded. Both individuals were taken to nearby hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. And then, of course, when you do the Google search, you get tons of reports about the shooting that took place April 2nd, 2022, shortly before 6:25 in the evening. Norfolk police said someone shot and killed 33-year-old Roosevelt McKinney and hurt two other people at MacArthur Center Mall that Saturday evening. Detectives said the shooting originated inside a retail store, which stemmed from an argument over money. And then there was about a 2-month manhunt. They finally arrested a 39-year-old in connection with the shooting. Now, shortly after these reports, it was said that this shooting happened in the Lids hat store. And there's various reports of people talking about fearing for their lives, scrambling, running, getting out of the way. It sounded like total mayhem for those few seconds. I thought there was 2 suicides at MacArthur Mall, and I think there may have been a second one. I just can't pull it up. However, January 23rd, 2011, Norfolk police found a body in one of the parking garages, and the death was ruled suicide. The man, who was described as being in his mid-30s, was found on a second floor level of the parking garage, and it appeared he had jumped from a higher level. Guys, if you like this kind of content and are enjoying the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and then click that notification bell so you'll know when more content is coming on the channel. Greatly appreciate your support. And here we have a very sad looking Santa Claus scene. Only one child sitting on Santa's lap. I guess the good thing is poor child's not being forced to keep a mask on their face and Santa acting scared to death to be around the kid. To the left, we're passing the former location of the MacArthur Center Mall Apple store. And up above, you can see the third level, which houses the movie theater and the food court. Starwood Capital in December of 2019 defaulted on a $750 million loan that used MacArthur Center as collateral. Management was temporarily handed to JLL until 2021, when Spinoza Group took over mall management. Starwood Capital is an investment firm who is based in Miami Beach, Florida. It's managed by Barry Sternlicht, and it was co-founded by Sternlicht and Robert Faith in 1991. In 1983, Robert Faith left to found Great Star Real Estate Partners. So in 1991, Sternlicht, at the time was 31 years of age, launched the firm to buy apartment buildings being sold by Resolution Trust Corporation that was created by the federal government to hold and liquidate real estate assets owned by failed banks after the savings and loans crisis in the late 1980s. Or was that early 1990s? I think it had to be late 1980s from what I remember. He raised $20 million from the families of William Bernard Ziff Jr. and Carter Burden of New York to fund the purchases. And then it appears that they got into various real estate ventures and partnerships, getting into acquiring hotels and other large properties. So Starwood Capital purchased the mall from the developer of the property, Taubman Centers, in 2014. They acquired this mall and 6 other mall properties for $1.4 billion. The developer announced they were selling several other properties to free up capital for new development, including 7 malls that were under construction. 3 of those were in China and South Korea. The deal also meant Starwood would assume $629 million of debt. So in 2014, it appears Starwood Capital took out a $750 million loan, and from what I read, they were hoping to have had that paid off in 3 years. We see that didn't happen. So in 2019, they defaulted on the loan, and Wells Fargo, who took the property, then turned the property over to Spinoza to manage. And it appears that Spinoza Group is in the lease and managing business, and their expertise is in mall properties. Their website shows, as of this recording, that they are managing 30 different mall properties across the country. One thing that did stand out as I recorded this video, besides the number of empty storefronts, was just how clean the facility is. It looks as well as it did when it opened in 1999, 23 years ago. All the elevators, all the escalators are in operation. The only thing I noticed that was not running was the water fountain underneath the elevators. I don't know if they just had them turned off, or if there is a maintenance issue. There was nothing to indicate that there was a problem. The other thing I noticed was we were a few days before Thanksgiving. You already had Santa getting the Christmas wish list of all the good little boys and girls. You don't hear any Christmas music playing like was playing at Lynnhaven Mall. It just really stood out that you weren't hearing the holiday sounds. The Barnes & Noble inside the mall is a 2-story bookstore, and it was also open to support the local Tidewater Community College campus, which is half a block away from the mall. Now, as you look at the mall and how I have noticed how clean and well maintained everything looks, this is how the mall looked when it opened in 1999. So for 23 years, there's been no major remodeling of MacArthur Center Mall. Looking at MacArthur Mall, and this is the same as it has looked for 23 years, I do get a sense of what the critics were talking about. That the city was wanting to bring this in for downtown revitalization, but this mall does not connect with the downtown. It is in downtown, but it is separate. It's not an integral part, or it's not an organic part of the downtown community. And maybe those guys were right with what they were suggesting. But the city said, hey, the developer knows what is hip and what will give us the most bang for the buck, so we'll just leave that at that. But even as nice as everything looks, I can see how this is really bland when all is said and done. Straight ahead, we're passing Johnny Rockets. To the right here is the Regal Cinemas. It's an 18-screen facility. And so walking through here all the way back, that is your movie theater. And very nice setup from what I've been told. I've actually never come to watch a movie here. I may have one time. If I had, that's been many years ago. But now we're coming into the food court and checking the mall's website to see what was left. They list Aunt Dorian's, Auntie Anne's, Barnes & Noble Cafe, California Pizza Kitchen, Charlie's Philly Steaks, Chili's, Johnny Rockets, Sbarro, Panda Express, and Smoothie Mania. Now the Johnny Rockets and the California Pizza Kitchen were packed. Chili's seemed to have been doing an all right business from what I could see in their windows. But this is sad. I forget which eatery is covered up there. Where you see the black divider here on the left, that used to be Burger King. And straight ahead, that was the that was the Rainforest Cafe. But this is how the food court is most of the time. I'm actually impressed that these eateries are still here. But you don't see filled tables with people eating food and you're having to fight to find a seat. And that is the state of the food court at MacArthur Center Mall.
Welcome to MacArthur Center. This is your personal reminder service. Please remember you parked on the north deck, level 4. That's north, level 4. Have a wonderful shopping experience.
Folks, what we have here is we have a mall that was built when it probably should not have been built. All for short-sightedness and just dollar signs, how many millions of dollars a developer was promising that this would bring in, when probably a different type of concept altogether should have been used. Not too far away from this mall is Waterside, which opened in the 80s, and it was modeled after the harbor, the inner harbor of Baltimore. And the city took that property over and tried to manage it. And it was a disaster. Fortunately, it was sold. Another developer came in and revitalized the property, tore down half of the old Waterside property and redesigned it, and it seems to be doing okay, although I don't know how well they're doing after COVID. I may have to go in there one day and give you a tour of that. But in March of 2021, the city announced plans to tear down this mall by 2030 for new developments. And presently, there are talks of completely tearing down the mall to cutting it open and changing to mixed retail and living spaces and entertainment. So that is where we are right now with MacArthur Center Mall. So until next time, stay safe, happy holidays, and I hope to have some other content for you soon. Take care. Thanks for watching.